Hi, I'm Rich Wyatt. Welcome to Gunsmoke Guns TV.com. Well, welcome to Gunsmoke Guns TV.com. We appreciate you guys watching. Today, Bob and I are here to discuss the Colt Single Action Army, the quintessential,
I love that word,
gun that won the West.
It is the gun that won the West. The pistol that won the West.
The pistol that won the West.
Because Winchester would argue with you about that as the gun that won the West, because they think the Model 66 or 73 was.
The coolest part about this gun is that with a couple of short interruptions, they've made this gun since 1873 all the way to today.
That's amazing. I can't think of another product that's pretty much unchanged that's been made that long. And
not only made that long, but still effective. I mean, the truth of the matter is that, Bob, both of us know that we could go out and gunfight with this gun today.
And win.
And win.
And win.
Well, we'd win because it's us.
That's true. That's true.
And we'd sneak up on them, just like they did in the Old West.
Just like they did in the Old West.
None of this standing out in the street.
Walking down the street at noon never happened.
Never happened.
Maybe shooting back at noon might happen, but not walking.
This gun started being made in 1873. Samuel Colt brought it out in Connecticut.
Well, he was dead by then, but his company did.
His company,
yeah.
And his company got it going in Connecticut. And this particular Colt Single Action right here is quite a historic gun. This one is, Bob, it's serial number 37.
So that's the 37th gun off of the assembly line, which means that gun was probably hand-fitted, because the first 200 or 300 of anything, and in some cases 2,000 or 3,000 of anything, they're still fitting machines, they're still getting stuff going. And remember, this gun was made in a factory where the machinery was steam-powered with buffalo leather belts to turn the machinery. And they had one steam engine at the end of the factory that worked about 300 machines through pulleys and belts.
And as you know, this gun took on changes probably from number one to this one.
Oh, of course.
Right?
Of course, yeah, and
I mean,
changes might not even show, but they were changes in the tooling.
Well, interestingly enough, as you know, serial number 1 through 160 were supposedly pinch frames.
Pinch frames, right.
But this one's not a pinch frame.
So, yeah, that's the interesting thing about firearms, and Colts in particular, is there are always variations. And there are collectors out there who do nothing but collect variations. You know what? When you look at the Colt Single Action, you got to think about the back history of what that gun is. Samuel Colt started making guns in Rhode Island and Providence, and those guns were good. They were better than what was on the market, but they weren't as good enough, and they went broke. So Texas Ranger came to Sam Colt and said, "I want you to make me a pistol that's powerful and a reliable pistol." Colt came up with what the Walker Colt, named after Samuel Walker, that Texas Ranger. Okay, this is a replica, but it's a good replica because it's very, very authentically done. As a matter of fact, this gun was actually owned by Red Skelton at one time, which is kind of cool.
That's a cool gun.
And, you know, Red Skelton was an artist, and I haven't been able to find out yet, but I wonder if he carved the grips.
Why wouldn't he?
He kept his gun collection at his cabin above Palm Springs in the mountains. And I can picture him up there some weekend, some rainy weekend with nothing to do.
Carving on.
Went out to the kitchen, got a Perry knife, and carved the buffalo on both sides. But anyhow, Walker came to Colt and said, "Build me a gun that's powerful." Until the .44 Magnum came out, this was the most powerful handgun ever made. 40 grains of black powder, which is a rifle load.
Yeah.
And so...
Is that part of the reason that there's only about 200 of these real walkers in existence because the rest of them blew up?
There was a problem with forging they were actually forged iron cylinders, and they would actually blow up.
Yeah.
So if it blew up, you send it back to Colt. They put a new cylinder on it. That's one of the reasons why you'll find them with serial numbers that don't match for the cylinders. But a very powerful gun. Okay, was this the kind of gun you want to carry? This gun was carried in saddle holsters. This wasn't carried on your hip. It was carried in a saddle holster on your saddle. So the next step, 1847, 1849, and the timing was perfect. Because the 49ers, this gun was introduced in 1849. I would imagine easily half of them went to California with the 49ers.
Oh, yeah.
The problem with this gun, the good thing about this gun is it's small, easily carried in your pocket. It's called a pocket revolver. The bad thing about this gun is it's small, easily carried in your pocket because it's got a little tiny hole.
Oh, yeah, it makes a small hole.
It's only 31 caliber. So was it an effective gun? It was more effective than a knife in a gunfight, but...
Depends on the size of the knife.
That's true. So was it a step in the right direction? Yes. Then, of course, the next step caused by the Civil War was the 1860 Army, which was a similar gun to this, only scaled down and
open top, black powder.
And that was a big problem with the Colt in the Civil War. Colt made about 50% of all the handguns, of the majority of the popular handguns. This gun, made by Remington, was the other one. Model 1858 Army, you notice a big difference?
Oh, yeah. Top strap.
Up until the Single Action Army, all of the Colt pistols that Colt made were open top guns.
Sure.
The 1871, which was the forerunner to the 1873, was an open top gun. And Colt finally read the handwriting on the wall and said, we want to go to a more powerful cartridge, we're going to have to go with a top strap. And that's what they did with the Single Action Army.
Of course, there's one other of the 1873 style guns, the Bisley. And this didn't really catch on, did it?
Well, the Bisley is the name of a rifle range in England, and a target range. And so Colt was trying to get into that market. There were some other submodels. There were flat tops. There was a flat top Bisley. There was a flat top Single Action Army. But this gun just never really caught on. It was manufactured for a few years, right smack in the middle of the production of the gun. Of the 73, in some ways it actually fits my hand better. The grip has, everything from here forward
is the same.
It's
the hammer and the grip frame.
The hammer, the grip frame, and the grips and stuff are different.
Yeah.
But you can take these two pieces and swap them, and it would work.
Here's the thing I would tell you, and this came from my mentor Jeff Cooper, who Colonel Cooper used the Single Action Army in defense of his own life.
Is that right?
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, you think about the time this guy was around. Colonel Cooper passed in 2006, but he defined this gun, and I think he's right, as sensual. You can sit around with this gun and just hold it and just feel like you got something in your hand.
I never watch a black and white Western movie or open range, which is my favorite, without either a lever action Winchester nearby or a Single Action Army in my hands.
Hold on, are you saying that open range is better than Tombstone? This is a third generation Colt. This, of course, is a first generation Colt, and this one is a second generation Colt.
Huh.
Now, to the naked eye, there's not much difference here whatsoever. And there's really not a lot of difference other than this particular stampings on the serial number. Right. The original first generation guns had a serial number that was just a number.
Right.
The second generation guns had a number and then SA after it. And then the third generations had SA and the number.
Right.
Now, nobody's really calling them a fourth generation.
Yeah, right.
But they split the number. Now it says S serial number A.
Right.
What do you think? Should we start right here and say that's a fourth generation?
It's different, so doesn't that make it a different generation?
I think it does.
Well, if serial number and no SA is first generation, and then a serial number SA is second generation, and then SA serial number is a third generation, then shouldn't S number A be a fourth generation?
I think so.
Seems logical to me.
Colt should have consulted with us on that.
You know what?
Because we got it right.
Exactly.
Now I'll tell you, I had a serial number 1880 Single Action Army come in here one day. And this was actually before you were here. So that was a long time ago.
I guess, okay, yeah.
And that gun, serial number is 1880, but it was a third generation roll stamped gun.
Really?
And I had the biggest struggle on buying this gun because the lady wanted all this money for it. She said that Bill Molnar, you remember Bill?
Oh, yeah.
He had offered her high money for it. And Bill doesn't miss a trick. So I couldn't figure out what was going on. I studied the gun. I researched the gun. We went back to the historical center at Colt. Beverly Haynes, who's a wonderful person back there that helps us with knowing where these guns came from. And I found out that the family of this lady had sent that gun back to Colt for repair in the 1980s. Not the 1880s, the 1980s. And they just put a brand new gun together and put that serial number on it and sent it to them.
I think if Colt did that to me, I'd be very upset.
You're not kidding.
Because what they've done is they've taken a family historical piece. I mean, it may not have any general historical value, but to me, the gun was a family piece. And if it was not shootable, send it back to me with a note saying this gun's not shootable and should not be repaired. Well, or call me and say, look, here's our deal. We can send it back to you the way it is. You can't shoot it. It's not safe.
And you know what?
Or we can replace the gun with a new one and serial numbered the same way.
Looking at the people that brought this gun in to sell it, they probably did say that. And they probably said, we'll take the new one because they didn't know any better.
Didn't know any better.
But I'll tell you one thing. I worked at Colt. For a little short time, I was the warranty center in Colorado for Colt. And when I was there, I found that most of the guys there were factory workers.
They don't know guns.
They don't know guns.
Yeah, or don't care.
Yeah, and they thought they were cool, but it wasn't the latest, greatest thing. Okay, so tell us about that one over there. That's that one with those initials stamped on
You know
it.
what? This is a U.S. marked gun.
Yep.
You see the U.S. right there,
Yep.
which means it was accepted by the government. If you find a gun that has the U.S. on it, and there's an X by it or over it, or if there's no other U.S. stamping on it, that means the gun probably wasn't accepted. And it was taken out of the military. See, you got to keep in mind, in 1873, when Colt introduced this rifle, or this pistol rather, the only market was the government.
Sure.
Because people were so happy with what they had, change is difficult. A guy out west, he could get powder, he'd get lead, and he had a bullet mold. Caps might be a problem. But if he had this, he had to go to the store somewhere, and the store might be 200 miles away.
Yeah.
So the change is difficult sometimes, and this is one of those times. But Colt started out with a 50,000 gun order from the government. And when you stop and think about it, 1873, the gun was introduced. Custer, the Battle of Little Bighorn, happened in 76.
Sure.
So there were probably...
This gun was there.
Was it?
Well, not this particular
Oh, yeah,
one,
right.
But
The
Colt
model
Single
was there,
Action.
right. The
Matter of
model was
fact, this gun could have been in every conflict we know of.
Sure.
Right?
Between then and between when Henry Nettleton inspected it, which that's what the HN stamp, and it's stamped HN everywhere. And that
So Henry Nettleton was the government inspector
Right.
that went into the Colt factory, inspected the guns, and said, we'll take this one, we'll take this one, we'll take this one. We're not taking that one.
No.
No.
Henry Nettleton was the colonel or captain or officer in charge of the inspection team
That went
in. Now his initials are on the gun because he was the guy in charge. Did Henry Nettleton necessarily handle this gun himself? Probably not. It's possible. Probably not. Don't you wish it could talk?
Oh, man.
Because was it involved in an Indian battle in Arizona? Who knows?
It's hard to tell. And unless you can track down history, which you can't on these guns could have been anywhere. They could have been in the Texas Rangers. They could have been in a variety of different conflicts. They were used. This was a tool.
It was a tool.
This gun
Just like a plow.
is brand new. It's never been used as a tool.
Right.
It's non-fired. This one actually was a gun specifically made by Colt for Colonel Cooper to use in a shooting of a hotel in St. James.
In Cimarron.
In Cimarron, New Mexico.
Yeah.
And so there are so many historic Colts out there that you could never, ever, ever know them all. It'd be impossible.
To my taste,
Yeah.
this is a cool gun.
Yeah.
The Colonel Cooper ownership adds many times value to it.
Sure.
However, if I had a choice, if you said, Bob, pick a gun, you can have either one you want.
I know which one you'd take.
Oh, okay. No, I was waiting for you to say that. Okay, so basically, I would take this one. Of
course.
This is a cool gun. It's bright, shiny, and new, and everything else. But boy, think about the history that this gun has.
But Bob, that gun is worth around $12,500.
Because of condition.
Yeah.
There's three words in gun collecting, and you've heard me say this 1,000 times. The three words are collecting, condition, condition, and condition.
You're
and this gun, the condition I would call fair using NRA criteria.
Sure.
Okay, does that hurt it? Maybe. But if you could prove that this gun was carried by an officer or a trooper in the 5th Cavalry, which was the black troop, the Buffalo Soldiers, and in New Mexico or Arizona during the Indian Wars, wow.
What a piece you'd have.
Then the value starts, you start reversing.
So let's tell our guys out there that maybe are just interested in the Colts because they see them in movies and stuff. If you're going to buy a Colt, a collectible Colt, you want to buy the best gun you can afford. Because if you just buy one, like let's say, not knocking the guns, but let's say you bought this gun in 1990 when it was made, or a Uberti, same style gun.
Look exactly. Parts are interchangeable in most cases.
Which gun has increased exponentially in value?
Well, the Colt, of course.
If it says COLT when you cock the hammer, you hear those 4 little clicks as you cock the hammer back, you can just hear every one of them. COLT. Colt. That's where the money is. This is one of the best investment guns in the country. Matter of fact, the Wall Street Journal even listed this as one of the best investment guns in the country.
When you stop and think about it, in 1973, a gallon of gas was about 67 cents.
Yeah.
Okay, that gun in 1973 was about $200.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's a gallon of gas today?
$3.50, $4.
Okay, so it's 5 times as much. $200. What do they cost now?
$1,500.
Okay, so better investment.
But if you take these old ones, like this gun and that gun, look at what they're worth. That gun, and the last letter I saw from Colt, said that they sold those guns for $12.50 and then increased the price to $13.
Right.
So let's say that gun was a $12.50 gun, $12.50. It's now $12,500 gun. That's a cool gun. All right, we could go on for hours about these guns. Thanks for coming over today to talk about this,
great.
Bob. Guys, if you have any questions about these guns or any other collectibles, please contact us at Gunsmoke at 303-456-4545. We really appreciate you watching today, and we just want people to understand the history of this country is based around guns. Don't ever forget that. Thanks for watching. GunsmokeGunsTV.com. Have a great day.